What's up, guys? This is day 84, and is it? Wait. Yeah, it's day 84. Um, so now I'm going on day 2 of my programming. So, like I mentioned yesterday, I'm omitting some exercises and focusing just on my right. So a little bit shorter than usual, but I will eventually get back to more like full size workouts and be able to talk a little more about general stuff, but for now I'm busy anyway, so keeping it a bit short. First exercise, I skipped out on the pull-ups. As I mentioned, it was a little too high stress for me on my elbows and just in general, so I really want to be able to fully recover before the event. So I also switched out the normal standard back pressure with strap, just because in that I would have gone very close to my max, whereas with this, which is the hard arm pronation wrap that I've shown here a few times before, it's, I wouldn't say it's easy, but I'm able to get like a higher RP with much less weight on my just elbow flexors, and overall I'm able to work pronation a little bit more too, so that was really good. And I think I'm starting to get the hang of how to grip the handle a little more, or maybe not get the hang of, because I'm kind of experimenting still a little bit, because I want to be able to find like the optimal way to grip it, just because the thumb part of the handle, there's a big hole, and depending on how you grip it, it's definitely a different feeling. And also in the first few sets you see me do like the glide, like drag back thing, whereas on these I keep my elbow planted and do more just hammer curl type back pressure, which, as I mentioned before, I see a lot of other people do it this way, so I'm gonna try to do it this way as well. So after that I did some isolated pronation. So I did everything on the program besides the neutral grip pull-ups and low cable back pressure. So the pronation back pressure that I just did with 40 pounds was very manageable. But with 50, I was gonna go with 50, but I could barely lift it off with 50 for some reason. So, but anyways, here is 25, and I felt my form was a lot better this time in terms of being able to keep my forearm stable, and it felt good as well. Although it felt like a weird, not necessarily on your pronator at the bottom of your forearm, just more like through your wrist, which is, I guess, also good. So that was that, and then after I'm doing some hammer curls on a pre-chair bench basically, and then pronation curls, which is a full range version of what I'm doing right now, and riser curls. So with that being said, I guess I want to talk a little bit about what I'm working on right now, which is, I guess broadly, I've always wished that there were more like thoughtful and high effort blog posts or articles on arm wrestling, because there really aren't, and that can be like a character piece, like a deep dive on an arm wrestler or a club, something that's completely based on like things that happen, like current events, or it can be like an opinion thing, right? So you can talk about a concept in arm wrestling, or a debate, or anything, or you can even like talk about more abstract, like just things about arm wrestling, but it really doesn't exist. And all like the extent to which people sort of have discourse about arm wrestling, it's fun, but it's like the most dumbest thing ever. It's like either, oh, this just happened, so it's like, oh yeah, Aramis just beat Levon, or Levon is stronger than Devin is strong. Like, it's just so surface level. And I'm not looking down on anyone, like, or anyone, like, because I do that more than anyone. It's just a matter of the sport not having matured enough where there's enough money and infrastructure in place for where people would have the incentive to engage in things for more than 10-15 minutes at a time, right? So yeah, like, I mean, I have so many ideas like every day I just randomly think about a concept, and so right now I'm writing about something, and we'll see if I actually manage to finish it. But I guess it's about like arm wrestling strength, because for me it's really fascinating, like because arm wrestling strength for me is really like a superpower in a lot of ways, and I wish I was able to elaborate that so that you would get it as well, and I hope a lot of people feel the same way. But it's just so amazing how just a regular looking person can have levels and levels above in terms of arm wrestling strength. And arm wrestling strength isn't even like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's so strong compared to anatomically, like what you expect someone to just be able to bicep curl, right? Like as an average person, you kind of see it that way, right? And so that I want to explore that topic a little bit, and I also want to talk about this idea of quantifying arm wrestling strength, because there's always this discussion about arm wrestling levels, right? And this guy's on this level, and it's like Levon is on his own level, or so on, whatever, right? And we all know this from experience that, for example, I'm on a different level than Giannis or any famous arm wrestler, and for example, I don't know, Paul Lynn is on a different level than Giannis. And so you talk about these levels, and it's pretty clear, like there's no debate, right? For example, Paul Lynn is on a different level than Giannis in terms of strength. There's no debate, right? So there are these things that we can generally agree upon. And for me, and obviously people, I hate the idea of like even sharing this, because I feel like people will jump all over it and be like, yeah, it doesn't work because of this, because that. Yeah, obviously it's not perfect. It can never be perfect. But I just have this idea where basically you can get you can formalize sort of the levels, where you can create a range and you can make it correspond to your level of gym lifts. Obviously not 1-to-1, and obviously it's not 100%, but generally speaking, so that eventually you'll be able to say, like, for example, John Terrian is a level 6, and Gennady is level 10, and Levon is level 12. Like, literally be able to identify like that, and it will never be like a determinate like thing or anything, but just it's a really interesting idea, and I think it could work, because I think like arm wrestling levels are pretty stable, and it pretty like, obviously you get some situations where it's like A beats B, B beats C, C beats A, but a lot of times it's pretty like, how should I say, like the level is pretty consistent, if that makes sense, across everyone. Like, so yeah, so that's just like something I'm thinking about working on a little bit, and the idea is basically to give people a rating, where basically like you'll have a range where it's like you can, so it's like points. It's not going to be an ELO rating, but it'll just be points. So it's like you can have someone be 1500 points, and well, let's say the next level is 1800 points. So you can be 1600 in strength, arm wrestling strength. And the way I'm thinking about it is, if there's a 300 points difference, that's a different level. And what constitutes a different level? Different level means that the guy can basically hold you at the center of the table, right? So for me, this is something that I'm thinking about, and I think it would be really interesting to see if we can make it more specific and like correspond to reality. But anyways, just wanted to share this quick thought. Thanks for watching, and like the video.